Oh, it just got a lot louder. I don't know. You got a lot louder though. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Uh, was a rotator at the beginning. Yeah, when they had Josh Jepson as the third person. He was the third person, John was the fourth. I remember watching the early days of Runaway Guys. Josh was in all the videos early on, and then Proton John wasn't, and then they started bringing him on. I'm pretty. Say so. No, I don't know. I've heard of them. I've heard of it, but I've never like witnessed their videos or anything like that. I didn't really like Josh Jepson. I thought he was like a little bit full of himself. He would. I remember like one time when I was watching the stream, he was like bragging about like how much he'd made on donations and stuff like that, and people were donating as he did it. And he was like, "Oh yeah, bring it on!" And it was like boosting. Well, I didn't like it. The thing that gets me, have you ever watched Proton John on Twitch? is so boring on Twitch. Like, at least the times I've watched him. Like, I really like Proton John. Like, he's one of my all-time favorite Let's Players. But on Twitch, he's like, I don't know, disappointing. At least that's how I feel about it. I don't know, disappointing and chill are not really the same things. Yeah. I haven't seen him. I haven't seen him stream in a while either. But then again, I don't go on Twitch a lot. Who's Steven? Who's Steven? You're familiar with these people. You're deeply familiar with these people. Mhm. Coliseum? Maybe I just saw him but didn't know he was something I should pay attention to.
Bring on the flavor with Firehouse Subs Barbecue Cuban Sub.
You gonna be okay? The video, like, in the box? I can see the still video in the box, yeah. On Twitch. Where is the video? Maybe that's a better question. In Discord. Oh, okay. Let me move that over. Hang on. When you said, can you see the video, I was looking at the Twitch channel. Yes, I can see that little box there with the video. Okay, I'm watching.
Jonathan!
Oh no!
Is it your birthday?
No, it's in November!
Your birthday, Jonathan!
No, it's
How
in
old are you?
November!
How old?
I'm 38!
Are you 38? Can you count that high, Jonathan? 1, 2, 3. Jonathan, you're not doing very well at the Lion game, Jonathan.
I have been doing pretty good, actually.
4. He's riding an ostrich. Or is that an emu? I'm not sure.
It's definitely an ostrich.
I don't know anything about animals. I can only count 5. You're doing so well, Jonathan.
Thank you.
How old are you today?
38, I just told you that.
I forgot. Please don't make me a milk furry.
Cute. Interesting, so he's very loud. It's a lot. Funny. Mhm. Black and white would be a tuxedo cat. Stands on the PS3. Oh, okay. How do you stand on the PS3 and not destroy it?
Fancy Feast Gems.
There we go.
Okay. Wild. It is. I always just thought it because during Runaway videos, he basically worshipped the ground she walked on, and like, and with drone controllers and stuff too. cool if Luke. It'd be cool if Luke was the fourth runaway guy. Cool. Being the fourth runaway guy. Why not? She's been a guest in it. She did really well. Why NC? I wouldn't ship anybody with NCS. He's such a weirdo. Okay, but it's true. Just like burping on recordings and stuff like that. Yeah, he has, but I mean, there's just a lot of stuff I wouldn't recommend him to like date with anybody that I know, online or otherwise. Yeah, he definitely is. Yeah, might as well be dead, right? I'm being sarcastic because I'm 44. Why not? What did you say? Oh, that's just too bad. She's really good looking. tend to watch like 1 or 2 streamers at a time until I've watched them out, or until they give up or retire or something like that, or they start recording a bunch of things that I'm not interested in. So I've been mostly focused on Pro Jared right now. What type of game is Dark Souls?
日本の
Yeah, they do. But they could pick a really good extra person. Yeah. Did she really? That sounds really serious. That's good. My friend Justin had a bad case of COVID recently, and he had some stuff going on with his lungs, and for a while he could barely even walk. Yeah.
everybody, it's Monday night. It's time for America's favorite game show, Strangle That Baby. Oh, I mean, Jesus.
Hey, you guys.
I meant to say shake that baby, not strangle that baby. We're gonna have to cut that out.
Strangle that baby.
No, we're not strangling no babies. No, there is nothing happening to any kids tonight.
Throttle the toddler.
I'm a bad person because every time you say that, it's gonna make me laugh for some strange dumb reason. And I say this mainly because I was earlier today when I was at work. I don't know. I was watching a show, and I don't know why. And this is like, I guess, like a little aside. Very early on in television, I don't know if no one has noticed this. But like when it came to babies on TV, I don't know why. There just always seemed to be a current thing with them, like the baby. If the baby was gonna have a seizure on live, and they couldn't make the baby shake on its own, so they would have to literally find a way to shake the baby to make it look like it was having a seizure. And I always like, because of how unnatural it looked and like they were holding a doll baby, I always laughed. And I know that wasn't supposed to be. It was a serious situation. But it was like, for me, it's like I saw that and I could not like believe what I was seeing, so I just started laughing because it was like, there's no way this is not how a baby really has a seizure. There's no way that they're convulsing this much.
Yeah.
But anytime on TV I just saw that, I always found it funny, but I always felt bad afterwards. That's how I was thinking about this morning. I was like, I don't know why, like, because I was thinking about like, what if there was this game show? I'm pretty sure this existed at one time too, called Shake That Baby. And it was like maybe like you have to win, you had to make the other team shake the baby. I don't know. These are things that go through my mind sometimes. I was bored.
I'm pretty positive that that's not a thing.
Listen here.
That's not a real game show, or even like a Saturday Night Live game show.
I bet it would be a Saturday Night Live. I mean, it would probably be for a bit. And they probably use an actual doll baby because their skits are pretty low production but high effort. But like, I mean, it probably happened in Japan, but it'd be probably like it'd be in a controlled environment, so nobody would get hurt, and no real babies will be used during the production of this thing. They have to put that in the disclaimer. No real babies were used in the production of this. Oh yeah, I'm a horrible person. But with that shock value out of the way, we're here to review My Hero Academia season 7, episode 3, Villain. This episode, I just want to get this off my chest now. Everything that happened in this episode was shocking to me. I gotta say, the traitor being Aoyama was kind of foreseeable, but at the same time, not really. There was a time when I thought he might have been a traitor. What?
How is that foreseeable?
I kind of thought he might have been a traitor at some point, and I don't know why my thought process led to that. But like, you know, looking back on it, he was like, even he was trying to fit in, he kind of didn't fit in. He even though the information that we now know out in the light, it was like he was always smiling, and his face always looked unnatural to me. Way he acted, it just like, everybody, I don't care. Even Grape Juice, with how pervy he is, he kind of seemed like he fit in with the crowd, just a pervy kid. I know, just like I didn't see like an archetype that he fit. So him being the traitor, to me, is like, okay, that makes sense. I mean, he was always trying to, he always wanted the attention on himself, but in reality, he just wanted to make sure that nobody caught on to what he was actually doing. Now, I will say, I think in those incidents where we see that apparently he was the one giving all for one information, I don't think he was present, at least on screen. I can't remember. Every incident that Alpha One somehow managed to be there. I will say he was the last person I was expecting. Like in all reality, I expected Invisible Girl more than him, and actually kind of set the beginning of the episode up kind of like that, where she was in the woods and it seemed like she was talking to somebody from far away, only for it to be realized that she was actually hiding and spying on him, talking to his parents.
Naked except for boots and gloves.
Yeah, this show really likes to have women topless.
And she's bottomless.
And I'm gonna bring that up because it was kind of already seen. I mean, like what she actually looks like was on the cover of a My Hero cover, of My Hero comic, volume cover. Other than that, she was pretty. It was really weird. It was like, okay, wasn't expecting that. Also, even weirder too is when she deflected Ayama's like light beam. It dispelled her invisibility, which I don't know if that was a thing. Or maybe she was all in her speech and then she just dropped her invisibility. I had assumed it was always on. I thought they made a mention of that too, that her invisibility was always on. Did I imagine that?
Yeah, her visibility is always on.
I thought they made it so that she could never turn it off at the very beginning. I guess that was at the very beginning. I guess she would have to learn if she was training her quirk. I don't know. It was kind of weird, but
It was cool to see like another facet of her quirk that it deflects light.
I always figured that was gonna be, because I know that they made mention when she was learning how to use her ability, when she early on she used her ability to reflect light and like cause like a blind somebody. So I always figured like, yeah, her quirk was able to reflect light. I'm guessing it's nice to know that she can actually do it with light-based attacks. So yeah, like actually new faster quirk kind of makes it more useful. It isn't just invisibility. It's just like, I guess it's more like her body is capable of having light pass through it and not, kind of almost like a little bit more powerful version of Lemillion's quirk if you really think about it. So she can't pass through anything she wants, but she can cause light to change and bend through her. But see, the episode starts off with them like recalling everything that happened with Stars and Stripes dying, and then mentioning that Stars and Stripes managed to give you know, the heroes an extension on the deadline of like having to deal all for one. Oh shoot, don't play. No copyright. Oh bueno. We come back after the intro and we see Shigaraki is in pain. And he confirms that like people who remember All Might are constantly getting in his way. He hates him. I was like, that's some deep hatred seated in Shigaraki. But I guess it kind of makes sense. Like, he was never saved as a kid, so him having hatred for heroes, especially All Might, makes sense. And then we have like All for One,
Who are you talking about that has hatred for heroes?
Shigaraki.
You know, it's partially that, and it's partially that he's merging with All for One.
You lost me there. I had a train of thought there, and then I don't know what happened. What?
His psyche, Shigaraki's psyche, is merging with All for One. They're becoming the same person.
No,
So
I got
some
that,
of
but I was just saying that like we're seeing that he has a hatred for heroes, and especially people who, you know, are fighting with All Might in their brain. You know, All Might is like the front runner. You know, they're kind of remembering All Might and they're fighting him. I'm saying like All Might, he has a hatred for heroes, and All Might. I feel like you're saying something to correct me, and that's where I'm like getting lost.
I'm
Is there
correcting
something
you,
wrong?
you're getting lost.
Huh?
I'm correcting you, and that's where you're getting lost.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to correct me on something, and I didn't think I was saying anything wrong.
I'm not necessarily correcting you. I'm just building on what you were saying.
I'm still lost. I'm gonna
You
just
were
try.
saying that the reason that he hates heroes and everything is because of how he grew up. And I'm saying, well, yes, and he also has a lot of he's also been merging with All for One, and All for One's psyche is like starting to merge into his. So All for One's hatred is also becoming his hatred.
Do we all feel aware of that? Sound like Shigaraki's hatred was really all that was there, and he was feeling his hatred. But I guess you're right about that.
But when he was watching him, he said, "Yes, we're still merging," or something like that. Like he was
Yeah, he
really
said something
happy.
about his though Shigaraki's hatred. He didn't mention his hatred. And I'm not sitting there saying that all one doesn't have hatred. That I already know that he has a lot of hatred. But it's like he was more referring to Shigaraki's hatred. He was talking there. I didn't really talk about him merging with his psyche. I'm not like discounting at all. Man, I hope this does not get us straight. As long as someone remembers the face of All Might, this frustration won't go away. Our cautiousness are combining. I can feel it. His intense anger. I'm sharing in Tomura's resentment. This doesn't discount him merging with him. I'm just saying that it's like I feel like he was referring to when you talk about the hatred bit, his hatred. I'm pretty sure his hatred is definitely inside Shigaraki. There is no discounting that. It's not like here he was mostly referring to Tomura's hatred.
If nothing else, because he raised the kid.
Let me, yeah, that too. I'm just saying he's kind of referring to his hatred, like, you know, Shigaraki's hatred.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the fact that, like, this guy doesn't have, like, one name. The names that's being referred to him is constantly switching from Tomura to Shigaraki. Like, no one, like, he doesn't keep one name. He responds with both of them. But yeah, besides that, you know, like, he's still merging with Tomura, and he's like telling him to, like, don't worry about it. Like, we're gonna let you, like, you're gonna get complete. You're gonna, like, just make sure that you don't get hurt any further. Your quirks are gonna come back, apparently. That was also really weird and concerning. That his quirks are gonna come back. I guess I find it weird that One for All also brings up the word blueprint. Like, it's not good to cling to a single blueprint. Is he talking about the quirks he gave Shigaraki or something else? Because he does mention later on that he's always had, like, plans, like, decades in the making. He's always got these plans. And there's always a route to get to where he wants to get to. Is he talking about maybe Shigaraki's powers not good to clean this one single, like, blueprint of powers, or he's talking about a blueprint as in, like, a route to get to where he's trying to get to?
Is that a question?
Yes. Like, what do you think he meant by that wording? Sorry.
It's okay. When he said that everything was a blueprint to a route.
No, he said, like, it's not good to cling to a single blueprint. Like, he says that he's looking directly down at Shigaraki while he's on the ground in pain. But then, like, I thought maybe at the time when he was saying that he was referring to, you know, the powers he gave Shigaraki, because he was talking about you're gonna get your quirks back anyway as you heal. But then later on, he brings up that, you know, he's got different routes that lead to the same thing, and he's not all that concerned about one route getting cut off. I was just, like, wondering maybe if he was talking about, like, Shigaraki, or is he talking about his plan coming to fruition?
I think he's talking about a lot of things there. I think and another good question is, who is he talking to? Which it has to be Dabi. Because he'd already opened with Dabi about how that was the biggest difference between the two of them, that they don't have plans. They don't plan things the same way. He plans things years or even decades in advance.
I kind of want to fight All for One on that. Dabi's had plans in the making. Like, I mean, yeah, it's singly focused on Endeavor, but, like, he seeded everything out to the best of his ability. It wasn't like, it's not like All for One's where his plan is more all-encompassing versus, you know, Dabi, who's got one person in his viewfinder. You know, like Dabi wants revenge. All for One just wants the world.
Yeah. The Dabi wants revenge. He wants a single thing. He's very like small in his purposes, and when you really think about it, even though he's extremely powerful, like he doesn't have like big dreams that are going on. All for One has a lot of these things going on, and Shigaraki's one example, and so is Sparkle Boy is just another thing that he has going on. And somebody, that doctor that he worked with, is another example of something that he'd had going on, and he just kind of continues to work with what he has, and it's not that big of a deal if he loses one of them, because he has so many strong assets and so many strong like pathways going on that like it doesn't really take from him to lose any one or even any 5 or 10 of them, because he has almost infinite possibilities on how we can proceed.
I think I was saying all this to say this man has too many plans. Somebody stop him. You see when he's making the metaphorical plan map, he's got all these. He's talking to Dabi. He's got all these pathways to get what he wants. I guess speaking of Dabi, before you leave him, I find it interesting. Dabi here is acting completely different now that his ruse is like out in the open now. You know what who he is and what he's after. Before, like Dabi acted all calm and collected. You referred to me as senpai or whatever, you know, like that. He had like a different demeanor. Now that he's like now that he's no longer acting, he's as here you can see that he's very impatient, and he's very single-minded. It's kind of crazy and kind of creepy, the difference, and I guess the difference, knowing who he is now makes towards how he's acting as a character. Because he's very agitated that Endeavor's out there flying around all happy and gleeful, even though he doesn't really know Endeavor's just as pissed off that his oldest son is out there killing people.
And plus, Endeavor was hardly having like a fun time. He was watching the murder of the U.S.'s greatest hero, which was the number one hero in the world, it sounds like, at that point.
Well, it was America's number one hero, but apparently they viewed her as the world's greatest. Is apparently what I got from they were talking about her.
Right, now that All Might's gone, she was the greatest. Even sorry. Even All for One seemed to feel that way about it.
Well, I mean, yeah, he said that she was an obstacle, which I still find it interesting that she was that much of an obstacle.
He refers to her as the greatest obstacle.
But yeah, with All Might there, yeah, she would be the greatest obstacle. I still kind of find it interesting, like he was very afraid of her, and he really wanted her quirk, but well, that's gone now. But like he was really afraid of her. He may not have seemed like that as he's talking about her, but because now she's gone. But like he was very concerned about her appearance and the fact that she literally on her own came over to Japan, even though she claims that All Might asked for her, and he probably did, but like apparently it sounds like she wasn't supposed to come over to Japan yet, and she just made her way on her own. So like her acting on her own wasn't something he was expecting. Apparently on his plan somewhere she was supposed to show up, but she completely subverted his plan somehow. I guess like leaving them and also the whole plan thing, we go back to Aoyama, and like he's apparently a part of All Might's, huh?
Just as a side note, it's pretty great that that she made it impossible for them. Like she sent them a trapped version of her quirk instead of like a usable one. That quirk would have been very, very dangerous if they had it.
But I'm pretty sure she spends most of her life knowing her quirk is quite has the potential to be dangerous. In as a point that it was probably one of those like last ditch things, like if it was ever taken, like she makes sure is that, you know, though granted at this point, like at some point that no one would have thought that it was impossible to take powers from people, but like now when she found that out, I'm guessing she made like a last ditch effort to make sure that, you know, if it'll in the event she were to lose it, uh make sure that quirk fights back and then detonates. Which is a crazy thing. I never thought about having the power to fight back. Like, I gotta give props to her. It's like, I would have never thought that the quirk fight back. For the most part, usually when the quirk gets taken away, it just gets taken away. There's nothing you can do about it. Oh, she made sure it went out with a bang. You're not gonna get my power. But yeah, she was a really good hero. Like, the few seconds she was here, she made a very good, huge impact. Then like after, you know, they're talking about like how Alphonse like okay, well now she's gone, but you know, as the plan, he has different plans. He says he has plans decades, even years out. I mean, like years and decades out. He's always thinking about ways to complete his objective. He brings the fact he has friends in other places, and then we go to the woods as we were talking about earlier with Aoyama. I cannot stop twinkling. I cannot stop twinkling. What?
I'm gonna watch this restream and I'm gonna take that one little line and I'm gonna record it out of context.
Why? Why are you gonna do this to me?
I'm gonna be like, here's the game hunter coming out.
We found out Aoyama is the traitor, and apparently his parents were
coming out of the closet. Here's where he says it. I cannot stop twinkling. I cannot stop twinkling. I cannot stop twinkling. I'm looking forward to this.
Ow. That was louder than I expected it to be. I have a Steam Deck now. A Stream Deck, sorry.
You've used that for me before.
Yeah, I didn't have a Stream Deck at the time, but now I do. I have the sound effects, and I can add more. I have at access to my fingertips. But Aoyama, we found out Aoyama is the traitor. Thanks to Invisible Girl tailing him out into the woods. We find out Aoyama's parents have been blackmailed, or not, you know, or have been like unintentionally indentured servants to All for One. Aoyama has been the one who's been cluing in All for One into the UA's plans, and he has been doing it unwillingly because he's afraid his parents are going to get killed. And apparently, I think I forgot this information too, and he kind of just spread this out too. I completely forgot about this part of his character. He was quirkless, but he got his quirk from All for One. And because of that, All for One is now, you know, he's in All for One's debt. So Aoyama has been telling All for One where they've been this entire time. So all the events that happened where All for One got the jump on him was Aoyama's fault. Invisible Girl finds this out and goes to grab Deku. And Deku shows up, and Deku is like breathing heavily and also very shocked apparently, even though Invisible Girl went out there to tell him. Oh, that's not even before. I kind of skipped ahead. Crap. Gotta back up real quick. There's a good chunk of like animation where class 1A is training. Each of them are using their powers and using different abilities and whatnot. Well, some of them using their ability we've seen before, trying to strengthen it. Bakugo and Deku are training, and I want to say this is a complete like 180 from how Bakugo was acting before. He's like way more calm now and trying to, you know, learn how to use his more powerful ability, which is apparently his sweat can congeal into a orb or whatever, and he can just detonate it from far away. And apparently
what is it? The grenade that he launches? Something grenade? Hellzone grenade.
No, that's Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, Piccolo. It reminded me of the Hellzone grenade.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was like, I completely lost. Like when you switched anime on me, I completely lost what was going on.
Oh, it's okay. Sorry.
I guess yeah. I mean, he's calling it cluster, which is clustering all his sweat. Apparently, he learned this technique from Endeavor about how to store up power and just unleashing it, which is freaking cool. I mean, he's training with Deku and he catches Deku off guard, and Deku has his green hair just turned into a puffy brown fro. Which apparently they like doing this comically in the show now. Apparently, whenever Deku gets hit with I guess something that's kind of consistent with fire. I want to bring in like Deku, Bakugo here is like, you know, willingly training with Deku, and like he's not like picking on him or anything like that. But, like it's, you mentioned that you wish he would like, I guess, change the character. Is this the direction you were thinking or hoping he was gonna go?
It's nice to see him getting a little more creative and stuff like that. He still scowls, and I don't know. He wasn't like, he didn't shine in this episode really. He had a really cool fight scene where he tricked Deku, you know, and Deku came out of it with brown floofed hair. But I don't know what you want me to say about it. Like, this has not been like, there was no character development in Bakugo for this episode.
I mean, I think this was good. I mean, I think there was character development. I mean, it was development that already kind of happened, but it's kind of showing here that he's not as like. I know you keep on talking about how I guess you don't like that he scowls, but it's like that's just a part of his character design. I don't know if I want him smiling. If I'm being real, I mean, unless the smile is natural. When I think of smiling in this show, it's usually all teeth, and for some characters it works out. I don't think it'll work for Bakugo in this situation. Like to me, he's got a character design that kind of lends to like. He doesn't need to scowl, but like, you know, like it kind of lends more to like, I don't know how to put it, like I just him showing all teeth and grinning like All Might or whatever, Deku would just be off-putting. It wouldn't be reassuring, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know what character development you think came out of this.
I mean, I'll say it was development that already happened. I'm just saying it's showing up now because before it wasn't. Like after Bakugo like had his like heart to heart with Deku, none of that was really showing up. At least not until now. Like he isn't like calling Deku, you know. I mean, I think he's still calling him Deku, whatever. But like, I don't think he's like he hasn't really been mean to anybody. He's been more like, you know, willing to communicate through words versus die. Like, he's being more friendly. Like that's basically what I would say. Like, more friendly than he was at first.
Yeah, he's being friendly. He's quite a chum.
I guess I guess I just don't know what you mean by how you don't like how he's I guess how he is like right now or whatever. You even mentioned something about how like I guess he hasn't changed, although I feel like I would argue that he has changed.
Over the course of the anime, for sure. This episode, I don't see a lot going on though.
I guess what I'm trying to guess, like, what were you wanting to, I guess, see character wise or whatnot? I guess in general, I guess is like basically the best way to ask it is like.
What would I want to see from the Bakugo character? A little more self-control. I think
he has
nice.
plenty of self-control. What do you mean? I mean, it's not like I'm trying to be a dickish here, but I'm actually only going. What do you mean self-control?
There have been times when they literally had to put him in a straitjacket.
Not in this season.
Not in this season, no.
I don't think he have had. I think the last time he put him in a straitjacket was season 2, and that was like during the tournament. I don't think he had to restrain him since. And that was years ago.
If you say so.
A
little bit more I would ask for a little bit more self-control in the character, so that he can kind of grow up a little bit, and a little bit more teamwork. Just a little bit. I understand a lot of teamwork would be out of his character, but just a little bit more teamwork, which I feel like he is kind of creeping into a little bit. So I think that's one of the directions that the character is headed.
I don't know if his quirk really leans that much to teamwork. Well, I mean, I guess now he could, considering that he's able to detonate sweat from a distance.
Well, when we saw the training montage, almost everybody was working on like team efforts, like across the board. You saw Uraraka lift rocks and Froppy like take
I
him on a
mean,
tongue and
they had
drop him on-
powers that were able to. He was just talking XLJ, and hello.
Hey XLG.
I know I get teamwork, but it's like, I don't know. It's like some. I mean, on top of like Bago can fight on his own. Like, I mean, he doesn't. I am letting him talk. Calm down, XLG. Jesus. You know what? I'm gonna let you talk. Whatever. Go say what you gotta say.
Game Hunter's been bullying me.
That is not true.
He has. He's been bullying me and he won't let me talk. Sometimes he mutes my mic so that I can talk, but it won't come up on the recording.
That is not true. You go back and watch the beginning of this podcast. There is definitely, you could hear him.
Sometimes we're both talking at the same time, but you can only hear him. And you should see what he types to me in Discord. He types very rude things.
That's a lie. That's definitely a lie. Don't you dare try to gaslight XLG. How dare you?
XLG,
don't let him gaslight you, XLG.
I don't think that's what gaslight means.
That's why I'm gonna use it for right now. You're trying to paint a different picture than what's really going on here. Oh shoot, no, don't do that. Come on. Look up gaslighting.
Are you looking up gaslighting right now?
10 signs of gaslighting behavior. Blatant lies. You know the person is lying often and secretly. This isn't anybody right now. But crap. I think Baku's improved. Like, I don't know, like, I guess where else, like, I mean, yeah, teamwork, but I don't know, explosion ability, other than his cluster ability and detonating from far away, his quirk doesn't really lend that much to, like, working together. I guess he could always send people flying in a direction for someone else, like, you know, to land the defeating blow. So I guess there are ways they could use explosions to help people. I don't know. Maybe I just see like my opinion on him is like a little bit more like vastly improved than yours is of him, and you know, I'm not saying he can improve. I'm just saying that like I mean, he's good for me right now. Could he get better? Yeah, but like I mean for me right now, like I enjoy who he is.
You like fire type characters. It's like almost not even like a Bakugo.
No, it's not that. I just like I feel like if a character's been introduced to be a certain way and he's been this way and I've grown to like the character that way, I feel like doing a complete flip on his character, I lose interest. Because to me it's like, okay, he's not even acting the way he like the way that I thought he would be. Because to me it's like, I mean, his explosions are kind of a, you know, at a extension of his personality. If he suddenly were to, you know, 100% calm down right now, like, well, I don't know how I feel about that. Now, is there a way to like balance that out? Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know like what they would do. Or I mean, maybe they could go the Vegeta way, because I mean Vegeta's kind of calmed down way since. But he's still him. I don't know how they would do that for somebody like Bakugo though.
I don't know, just have an episode where something that changes everything happens. You can easily do that.
I don't know, but would Bakugo still be a fun character to watch at that point? His entire personality took a 180.
It doesn't have to take a whole 180. It just has to like evolve a little tiny bit from that episode.
Guess I don't know what evolution you're expecting. Maybe we'll see it at some point. I don't know. This is like no favoritism towards. I kind of like Bakugo. I mean, to me, he's gotten to the point right now that I expected him and like where I can thoroughly enjoy him. Now, like from here, I don't know where they would or could take him, because I mean, to me he's calmed down enough, significantly enough to the point where okay, now he's got his prickly part of his personality, but it's like I feel like that's just a part of who he is. Because Vegeta's still prickly. I mean, the guy's a lot nicer now, but like Vegeta's still pretty prickly when it comes to like, you know.
Vegeta is so much more high functioning now.
Wait, what do you mean high functioning? I gotta know now. Like, what do you mean high functioning?
Because he's got a trainer. Like he has a teacher, for example, and he actually does stuff with the teacher and like. Hang on. He has a teacher and he like actually listens to the teacher and he's humbled himself a little bit to do so. And I don't know, he's learning about his shortcomings from the teacher, like you should, like you're always so tense and stuff like that. You need to relax. And you see Vegeta becoming like much more relaxed, and you see Vegeta like coming up with his own like techniques, like Super Saiyan Royal Blue, instead of like chasing Goku's. And now, for the first time in the world, it's kind of debatable, like because Goku can't seem to get Ultra Instinct again. For the first time in the anime, like Vegeta might be the most powerful character again, or second time, I guess, because when Goku first meets him, he's more powerful.
Yeah, I guess I can agree with that. I will say the whole Vegeta being stronger than Goku at one point in time. I remember when they was revealed to me, and I was like, oh wow, I never thought about that. Like I guess whatever. I don't know why I never thought of it, because like I mean, Vegeta being stronger than Goku, it has happened before. It's like 3 times now, when he first meets him, and then Bulma gets slapped, and then later on when Vegeta becomes as strong as Goku.
Right.
It has happened a couple of times, just that Vegeta doesn't get a lot of W's. In fact, he takes a lot of L's. I think he took a W one time when he decided to self-destruct on Boo, but it didn't work, unfortunately. Part of me really wishes that did work, because like I feel like that could have been the end of his character right there. Akira could have gotten rid of him, and he would have been remembered as the guy who blew himself up to save the world. Could have been like the whole Yamcha thing, but in a good light versus the light that Yamcha dying has taken over the years. What were you about to say?
No, it's okay.
No, say it. I get told that apparently I would talk over you a lot.
Oh my god. No, you don't. I don't know. I like what Vegeta's become. And he is much more of a team player now too, because like when he was falling off in the Tournament of Power, when he was falling off, like he sent the last of his energy over to Goku and like put his trust and his faith in Goku to be able to finish the job. And I don't know. I think that it makes a lot of sense that like I think it makes a lot of sense to say that Vegeta is like a changed character, but he's still him. He's still who he is. He's just greatly evolved now. They brought him a really far way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they could do that with Bakugo somehow. I just don't like. 'Cause I mean, there's some people have abilities that I could definitely see really helpful. I mean, like Uraraka and Froppy. I think we joked this around. I joked about this along like throughout the entirety of the show. But like Uraraka and Froppy really do work well together. It's kind of crazy because at first I would have thought it was just a one-time thing, but they've over the course of the show they really work well together. Like,
Yeah.
they have really good like synergy and their ability to make really out of the blue they really had taken Uraraka's ability to make like impromptu super moves really work out because the first time she does it is when she's working with Deku, and then she just like says improvise special move comet home run. I thought that was just hilarious for some strange reason because it was just out of the blue, but she was able to make a move like in the middle of a fight. Like I mean, like I guess it's one of those things like okay, those like when Uraraka and Froppy work together, they really do work really well together. I mean, I know that Froppy and her wanted to be support heroes, so if anything, like they really work well together doing that. Like it's actually quite impressive how well they do work together.
It makes sense because for their personalities to work well together too, because they're the two characters that like are they equally about equally strong, and they're both like team players anyway. Like they've always both of them have always been a team player kind of character. So the two best team players just kind of join together. That makes a lot of sense to me.
See here, and I guess with them learning, trying to like improve their special skills, I think I can say we can move beyond that now. I think. I do want to point out that Charge Bolt, the guy at Kaminari, I guess his tolerance for how much electricity he can output has gone up. It doesn't look like he becomes stupid anymore. So I'm pretty sure it's because his tolerance has gone higher. And then like not gravity, but creativity and her ability to make a lot of things has gone up too. And apparently like grape juice, like I keep glossing over this because I keep forgetting about it. But grape juice, like one of his quirks, like I guess limits was how many sticky balls he can pull off his head. And before apparently he pulled on enough while he started bleeding. Now it's getting to the point where it doesn't seem like that even phases him anymore. Like it's a silly small thing because we see when he's sitting down with Kaminari and they're talking about
I
like
noticed it too. No, I noticed that too. That he was just plopping them off, and he had a big pile next to him like it was nothing, and it wasn't bothering him at all.
they're talking about their plan and whatnot, and how they're gonna tackle like deal all for one. I guess I want to bring this up too. Is like as like Bakugo is like I guess you're talking about team player. This is like one situation he's being a team player. He's discussing an attack plan, and he's telling them like what they lack and what they need. So for all for one's always had like the upper hand, in terms of knowing where they're gonna go. Them attacking second is always gonna like leave them at disadvantage. So they need to attack first, and they need to find out a way to do so. Deku kind of being Deku says like yeah I need to be able to attack first, and then Ida comes out of nowhere and just like chops him in the head. You mean Lee, right? And I was like okay, like that was pretty cool that Deku's still thinking like he needs to be the one to do it, but everybody else wants to help him out.
Right.
There's another small detail too. Uraraka's speech, they bring that back up again too, about how she managed to get everybody to work together with the heroes, which I thought was kind of cool. And
And
her,
she gets really embarrassed by the fact that they brought it up.
yep. Part of that is her being embarrassed by it, but a part of that's also her crush on Deku.
Yeah. Which is good because they haven't done very much to like reinforce that she still feels that way.
Yeah, I had expected that to be detrimental to her character, but when they had that whole passionate speech with her, I was like, oh, that's a good way to use that she still kind of has a little crush on him.
Yeah.
And that he also is pretty oblivious to it. But Yeah, as they talk about like that whole thing about being able to walk around freely, then we get to the woods. Then we find out, oh, Ayama is the traitor. And like, I gotta say, before you get to this point, like as you start talking about this, I really felt kind of bad for him because like you could definitely, the scene was very emotional, like, charging, at least for me anyway. Like how his parents were in danger and whatnot. You see his mother and father, they all look like they've been through hell and back, trying to protect him. They're the opposite of what I expect a rich family in anime or fiction to be. They're rich, but like they still have like morality somewhat, which to me is kind of strange. At least to me, I don't see that a lot in fiction where there's a rich family who's doing good. Every now and then they happen to be, but usually they're the main character. We see like Ayama's like childhood, like how he was born quirkless, and then they were worried about him feeling different. They even bring up apparently that I think that must have been the time when Ayama giving Ayama the quirk, the naval laser, which apparently wasn't compatible with his body. So they made him like a belt for him to be able to use it. We see that Ayama has been apparently leaking everything to All For Ones. Like this, how he's been able to be one step ahead of them the entire time. As this is being leaked out, Deku shows up and starts trying to talk to him, and his parents grab Ayama to run away. Then, as this is happening, Ayama decides to attack Deku, apologizing, but then Invisible Girl gets in the way and deflects the laser, and it reveals what she looks like, and she's a blonde. Like a light blonde, actually. Hold up.
Very impressed with how the show led up to this. And they show you all the little plot points that show that we could have maybe guessed this if we were thinking about it. And
I want to say, was there... Oh. Continue. I'm shutting up.
Yeah. I remember in season 1 wondering, like, spending a lot of energy wondering who the spy was, and then I sort of gave up. And then after I gave up, then they started putting all these like hints out, you know what I mean, for that he might be a spy or involved in something. And I was despite all the hints and despite like them telling us straight out that there was a mole in the group, like I was completely caught off guard. I didn't even remember there was a mole in the group at this point. And then when they said everything he did, it was like, oh my god, like he's been really impactful to the plot line behind the scenes where they haven't showed it.
Yeah, I gotta say, like my travel, like my walking through this entire maze of like, I gotta say, leading up to this point, before even it was revealed back in the manga, I kept, because Google likes to show me certain things. They showed me what Invisible Girl looks like, and I was shocked that like, I wonder why they're showing us what she looks like. There's no point in us knowing what she looks like, is there? And then the whole like idea that there's a traitor. At the time when all this is going on, Invisible Girl and then the traitor thing always seemed to line up for some reason. And anytime the traitor was looked up or given to me at some point, it was never really. And again, I didn't know who the traitor was. This is the first time I'm like seeing who the traitor is. I didn't expect it to be Hayama. Like I was legitimately shocked that it was him. It's like, again, it's always a character you don't expect. It always seems to hold true every time anything I watched. There's always a character you don't expect. Because it seemed like every time they were trying to give you the traitor, they kind of wanted to throw you. It was supposed to be Invisible Girl. They even do it here, where they make you think it's her, and then they actually throw you the red herring. It's not her. It's Ayama, and you're like, what? And she's like surprised too. It's like, excuse me. I got this episode thinking it was supposed to be her, and then it's like, yeah, man, we found out the main reason why. And I'm like, what in the world? Yeah, she's blonde and got like pink highlights to her hair too. But yeah, she gets in the way of the laser, deflects it, and her quirk gets shut down for a little bit. And then Deku captures him with Black Whip along with his parents, and then they drag him to UA to face the police and the adults in UA. But also I want to bring it to, even though Deku had to like restrain him. He like Deku was hurt by this too and was crying as well. Because
Everybody was crying.
they also show us that like yeah, they also bring us back to when Ayama first revealed to Deku that he knew and everything like that. I guess he didn't truly know, because I'm not sure what Ayama knew or said he knew, but he said he found out when Deku was quirkless. I forgot that information too, apparently. So Ayama knew quite a bit of things in the background, and we all completely forgot about it, and we didn't suspect him. I feel like I suspected him at one point, but completely, I dropped my suspicion at some point for some reason. I couldn't tell you why. But think about it too, like all those scenes they showed him in the background. Like, I wonder were those scenes where Yama wasn't there like at all? We didn't see him at all. Because like, if that was the case, they really like did some like serious like attention to detail. If he was never present,
They must have.
I mean, I think that's giving them too much credit. But I mean, if that was the case, I'd be shocked. Like, that's some serious attention to detail they didn't need to do. But yeah, they bring Ayama in to the UA to face the music. They first reveal all the information that's going on. They revealed that, you know, Ayama is the leak. President Mike, we have a flashback of him saying that we gotta know there's a traitor here, and he says I didn't expect it to be a student. I'm pretty sure nobody expected it to be a student. All Might is like just like stunned. his face and everything, you can just see in his eyes he was not expecting this. He was like, geez, he was very, you know, I guess the best way to put it is disappointed. And then like the president, apparently, I'm not sure what the president was intending to do, because he looked back at the students telling them to leave. But he looked very shady for some strange reason. I couldn't tell you what was going on there. Like, they bring up the president like had like a shaded past, you know, back when he was being experimented on. So I don't know what he was intending to do. But yeah, like Ayama explains. Well, his parents explain everything. We find out every detail about like how Ayama got a quirk from when he was quirkless. It showed the stupid X-ray with the pinky toe again. Don't think I forgot about that. I saw that. I was like, stupid pinky toe bone. I still don't buy it, but apparently it's lore now, so I had to accept it.
Why don't they just X-ray them when they're babies? Why do they wait until they're like 9 to do it?
I think it's like when they're like,
That'd be a very bone structure than like just.
no, it's like when they're like, because their quirk is supposed to develop at like 5.
Okay,
Like their quirk develops really young.
But the pinky toes developed at birth. Why don't they just check at birth?
Maybe that toe bone's supposed to grow in. I don't know, man. That's why I like the whole idea that you have a quirk because of an extra bone in your pinky toe has always been stupid to me. It's like, that's such a really weird like detail. I honestly, in my opinion, I would prefer another reasoning why people have powers versus this one extra appendage in your toe that somehow gives you enhanced genetic abilities. It like I that's why I kept bringing it up until it was brought up. Like, I didn't believe that was really true. They were maybe gonna find out Deku had some ability, but I mean, apparently the pinky toe bone is like apparently canon at this point. I mean, it's been in the show. They haven't changed it once. It's been the same thing every time you brought it up. So I guess I had to accept it. I don't like it, but I guess I had to accept it. But
Pinky toe.
I'm gonna have nightmares with a pinky toe. Just gonna be asleep. Pinky toe. Yeah, pinky toe. Pinky toe. But yeah, you like all the you know, class 1A is all shocked. There's this image of like the bird guy or the guy who can talk to animals in his face. You're like, geez, that's kind of disturbing.
There's tears on all their faces too. Just about.
I mean, yeah, they spent all their time, you know, with him. I mean, even Asagirl was crying.
Yeah. Asagirl's crying one of the most.
I noticed with her, it's like she's probably the most emotionally engaged out of most of the characters.
Yeah.
she's also like the most like energetic too, so I'm guessing that's probably just a part of, she feels feelings. Like she's an empath without the empathic ability.
Mhm.
But yeah, they explain everything on like why they didn't go to the police, because like is it like All Might who asked them why they didn't go to the police? Well, some teacher asked why they didn't go to the police about all this, but he said like, like all one showed us what happens to traitors. It's like they're all just died. They didn't want to take chances, which is understandable. I mean, like this whole them being traitors. I mean, it's understandable. I mean, the heroes probably won't forgive them, but like at least the adult heroes won't forgive them. But it's understandable that they were in an impossible situation. They didn't know how All for One was gonna find them if they did leave. And then there's this heartfelt talk between Deku and him, and like did you do all this, like did you come to this school to betray us? I guess basically, and I'm gonna generalize it here, did you come to school to betray us, or did you come here because you wanted to be a hero? And like in Aoyama, up to this point, I've got to bring this up too, there's a small detail that kind of really matters here. Aoyama feels like he's a villain, and he keeps calling himself a villain throughout this entirety of this episode. And when he comes out that he's a traitor, he calls himself like the villainous of the villains. He really feels bad for what he's done. He doesn't know how to like really I guess express, I guess he's trying to find a way to like maybe make this all better, but in reality he can't. I don't even think Bakugo's crying. I think Bakugo's just sitting there staring.
There's a few not crying, like Crappie wasn't crying, I noticed.
At first some of them probably were like, they forgave him. But yeah, through all this, like, Deku has his heartfelt, talk with him as usual. Main character, I'm gonna talk to you to change you or change your mind, which in reality wouldn't work. But because we're talking about fiction here, he has his heartfelt talk with him about like trying to, get him to, I guess get him to apologize and then try to be a hero again. Deku even has a speech about like how like one villainous act does not make you a villain. I'm wondering who's really talking about there. Because early on, Deku wants to save Shigaraki, but Shigaraki's done more than just one villainous act.
Yeah.
Like,
I wonder what will happen to him, if they'll just take him to jail and leave him locked up for a long time. Or...
Well, it doesn't sound like that's what they're gonna do, because by the end of the episode, they're gonna use him to get the drop on All for One.
Right.
So other than he can do that if he's in jail.
That's a fair point. Although All for One would find him there too.
Yeah, that's the interesting bit, because All for One does make mention that he has friends everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no telling who he has on a payroll. But Deku makes his plea to him. Bakugo's like, "That's it, Deku," and I was like, "Huh, that's interesting." But I guess like Bakugo maybe had that in the back of his mind from the very beginning. Like, did you like why did you save Todoroki and Bakugo during? I don't know. I think it was during the camping trip thing. Apparently, there's a point when he saved them, and I don't remember that. It was naval laser, apparently. Because even then, back when he was supposed to be, the ally of the villains, he was still helping out the heroes.
Yeah. I'm watching some of the episode again.
And no problem. But yeah, he makes this plea to him, and they realize that actually they've been looking for a way to get the drop on All for One, and then they realize that they can use Aoyama. And then pretty much before the episode ends. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been trying to see. I'm trying to push the boundaries of what's gonna get us flagged and what's not. We'll find out. But But then I was like, where was I? Oh, yeah, but he makes his last push to Ayama saying like will you help us essentially, and the episode ends at that point. We see that Yama's crying. You know, you can tell that Ayama's been crying since he first showed up in this episode. We can definitely tell that he definitely feels bad.
Yeah, he's probably felt that all along.
That's my suspicion too. Like he's been, I mean, he said, I think early on in the episode, I forgot to mention this too, as much a lot of things I've been forgetting to mention. He does mention that, like, talking to his parents, how he's been putting on a face, a facade of a smile, just so people wouldn't be suspicious of him. This entire time, but he's been hurting regardless. Like, this has probably been the most crying I've seen him do. Period. Which is kind of shocking. Which it kind of makes me wonder, like, how is he gonna like act in the future now? You know, that he's been outed as the traitor. It's not like the police still want to put him in jail because he was aiding and abetting the villains, which I guess makes sense. At the same time, they really shouldn't be too hard on him. I mean, his parents were in danger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but pretty much the episode ends there after them realizing that they could use Ayama to get the jump on All for One. So we'll see how that works out. Though All for One talking about how he's got like several, like, you know, routes. If one fails, so be it. It's just crazy. I guess what happens when you have immortality or whatever he has.
Did you say immortality?
It's something. He like he's old. Like he's been around since the inception of Quirks.
Yeah.
Is it like immortality or what other thing is? I forgot. You know, there's two, like, you either don't die or you don't age. I forget which one it is, but it's something I forgot. It's definitely immortality. I would look it up, but I don't even know where I don't even know where I would even begin to look that up. But with that, I'm gonna play our going out music here really quick if I could find it. Okay, that was a pretty good episode. I'm trying to work small things out with the Steam Deck that I now have to my arsenal. This is a good episode. I got no real complaints. I was half expecting kind of the action to die down after, like, the whole Stars and Stripes thing, but they kept ramping it up. They are not stopping for anything. They say you want action, you're gonna get action. Ow. I wonder how I can turn that volume down. I'm gonna have to look at that. But yeah, good episode. I guess about that. I can guess as I say, Ayama being the traitor, like, what? That was definitely a shock. I was not anticipating that. I wonder, like, how everybody who was reading the manga material for the first time when they found that out felt. I guess over here, I don't know what the spoilers in here. I'm gonna watch. Crazy Yandere Witch again with a comment for today. They picked the most insane timing to, but Hagakari is so pretty.
She is.
I mean, yeah, she is. I'm just like that. Like, I'm surprised that was spoiler, but I guess that is a spoiler because no one knows what she looks like yet. Anything else from Crazy Yandere Witch? What else you had to say? Oh wow. Okay, here's something. The situation concerning Ayama breaks my heart in so many different ways. Looking back, all of it makes sense. All of it makes sense with seeing his terrified parents begging him to keep going. We just wanted you to be happy. They tried to give their son happiness, but all they ended up doing was exchanging his future and childhood for a quirk. He worked so hard to become a hero, only to become the very thing he was fighting against for the sake of his family. Oh, that's actually really poignant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can only say it any better. That's like exactly his story right there. Kind of sucks. I never thought about taking a story in that direction with you being born quirkless. But also, the fact that he was born quirkless tells me, too, there are way more people who don't have quirks in this world than I thought they would have been. And that's just 2 people that we know of. Like, imagine, like, what other people, like, how many other people are, like, born with a lot of ability. But yeah, I guess with that, I'm going to check to see. I don't have a reason to believe that they won't have an episode this weekend, but I'm just going to find out real quick. And you don't have a problem doing a podcast on Memorial Day, do you?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. I'm open to it. I just want to make sure. I wanted to ask you first.
Yes, sir.
The hell? The story of how we became heroes. What is that supposed to be? Why does that sound like filler to me? I don't think it is, but I guess we'll find out. Take a break. It's a paid holiday. I'm gonna get paid, XLG. You just want another. You just want to. You just want another stream out of me. I already told you, no promises. May 25th. That's okay. So we'll be back next week. Same time, same place, same channel. For episode 4 of My Hero Academia. Whatever this title is, I'm very concerned that maybe it's not what I think it's supposed to be. But thank you. Have a nice evening, people.
Take care.